I saw an interview the other day on the television with the defensive tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. They asked him, what's it like to play defensive tackle in the NFL? He said, well, it's not rocket surgery. Understand, this is not rocket surgery, all right? I stand between you and lunch, and I understand I need to move it along and get done quickly. I know there's 3 or 4 other people that want to speak, and we all want to get back and eat. I have before me a list of things presented to me by the Mississippi Economic Council. I have met with your leadership team and discussed their legislative items for the year and was pleased to see that many of the things that I support line up with what's on this piece of paper. So I thought this provided me with good outline to discuss a few items with you. I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to move quick. Scott pointed out the fact that we have been very focused on economic development over the last 2 years. Since the leadership team we have is now in place, as you know, we have a new governor, new lieutenant governor, and a new speaker of the House. I think the 3 of us has worked very well together over the last 2 years to push forward economic development incentives. Governor Bryant called last session the most business-friendly session in the history of Mississippi government. We've been focused on taxes, focused on tax incentives, trying to come up with ideas and ways to bring jobs into Mississippi. Part of that is the tax structure. I see that on the page here at the bottom. We have implemented a number of tax incentives to try to give businesses, startup businesses especially, opportunities to thrive and grow and create jobs here in Mississippi. I'm very pleased to report that last year we saw an increase in jobs in Mississippi for the first time in many years. It seems like Governor Bryant is somewhere in the state almost weekly welcoming a new company and a new business to this state. We're excited about that. I think it can safely be said that this leadership team that we have in place is committed to economic development, and we are wanting to continue that and make sure that Mississippi prospers. Second thing on this list is education. First thing you have here is appointed superintendents. I've highlighted it in yellow. Can y'all see that? I strongly support appointed superintendents. I've served on the Clinton School Board for 11 years. I know what it's like to have an appointed superintendent. It gives you the freedom as a school board to go out and recruit the best person you can possibly find to come and lead your school district. I liken this to my role as a chairman of the pastor search committee at my church. A few years ago we lost our preacher. I got elected to be the chairman of the committee to go out and find a new one. What a thrilling opportunity. It took us 2 years. We went through 185 resumes before we finally found the guy that was the right fit for us. But if you were to tell me that when we lost our pastor that I had to find the next one from within the 4 walls of my church, ladies and gentlemen, there's nobody qualified. Nobody qualified by training, by education, by experience, by calling. If you're a believer, you know that people are called into the ministry. There's apparently nobody in my church called into the ministry because none of them stepped up to be the preacher. So we had to have the freedom to go outside our boundaries, outside our district, so to speak, outside the 4 walls of my church, and go find the best preacher we could find, whether he be in Alabama or on the other side of the world. And we were able to do that. You know, we don't apply that type of logic to any other area of our life. You as employers can go find and recruit the best person you can possibly persuade to come and work for your company. The best lawyer, the best employee. You have the freedom to go and choose the best doctor that you want to find, that you want to use, the best wife you can find, whatever. You have the freedom to go and search. We don't apply that type of logic to any other area of our lives. But when it comes to superintendents, we say, oh no, you got to elect him from within your city or your county, the 4 borders of your county. It just is not workable. So I strongly support appointed superintendents. I would like to see that implemented. There's going to be a big push, at least on our side, to do that this year. Teacher pay has received a lot of attention recently. I have come out in support of an across-the-board pay. My thinking is this, and let me say this clearly, I am not opposed to merit pay. I support merit pay. I'm not for paying bad teachers, okay? I don't think they need to be in the classroom. I'm not for supporting bad teachers. The problem is I don't know who they are. Identify them for me. Tell me who they are. Give me a list of their names and I won't pay them this year. Problem is, nobody has presented that to me. I don't know who they are yet. We've implemented some merit pay measures. They are just now taking off. We don't yet know what that's going to produce. It could be 2 or 3 years before we understand or see or identify who those bad teachers are. In the meantime, our current teachers haven't had a pay raise in 7 years. It is my belief, and this is just my belief, that the overwhelming majority of teachers in our state are good. There are some bad ones, but there is a large pool over here of good teachers. I believe that. In my experience coming along, I can probably on one hand name you the bad teachers that I had. The overwhelming majority of teachers that I had were good, and I would dare say you are in the same situation. So we got this large pool of good teachers over here, and we got this small pool of bad teachers that we're trying to figure out who they are, and I am not for paying them. And I support a merit-based pay system. But until that comes into place and until we can identify who those are, we got this large pool over here that have not been paid for 7 years. And Mississippi's starting base pay is one of the lowest in the nation. If we're going to recruit and retain the best and the brightest teachers to stay in this state, we got to pay them. We got to get our base pay up. And base pay is different than merit pay. I'm all for getting the base pay up, trying to keep the good ones. We're trying to encourage our best and our brightest to go into the field of education. We want them to do that. I want the best and the brightest teaching my kids. But if we're going to entice them to do that and have them stay here, we got to pay them. So this is something that we're looking at this year. I don't know where it's going to head, but I do believe we want to put more money into the classroom. I read a book recently. Donald Rumsfeld wrote it, Rumsfeld's Rules. Any of you read it? Okay. Not a very popular book, apparently. Maybe I need to rethink the ideas that I gained from it. I don't know. Donald Rumsfeld wrote a book called Rumsfeld's Rules, and in the book he talks about the tooth-to-tail ratio. If you think about a dog, what is the business end of the dog? It's the teeth, right? That's where the action occurs. The rest of the body just supports the teeth. The tooth-to-the-tail ratio. You can apply that to the military, which, as you know, Donald Rumsfeld was our Secretary of the Military. He said the teeth are the people on the front line. The teeth are the people out there fighting the war. Everything else is just support. That's the tail. And what we try to do is to be efficient in what we're doing in the military by saying, how much support do we need to have to enable the teeth, the people on the front line, to do what they're doing? We need to minimize that. When he became Secretary of Defense, he learned that there were 11 levels of command between the Secretary of Defense and the front line. So when he gave an order as Secretary of Defense, it went through 11 channels before it reached the people on the front line. He said, that's inexcusable. That's ridiculous. It takes that long. Any of you ever play the telephone game in elementary school where you whisper in the ear and you figure out what it's like by the time it gets to the end? He said, that's what we're risking in the military. We got to eliminate all those chains of command between the tooth and the tail. Well, that's the way I liken this to the classroom. Where is the teeth? What is the teeth when it comes to education? It's that teacher in the classroom. We've got to put the money in the classroom. And that's what I'm talking about. I want to make sure that that teacher has everything she needs to educate your child. And we need to evaluate how much support is behind that and make sure we're efficient and lean. But most of the money needs to be going into that classroom. And fully funding MAEP doesn't guarantee that. This is a measure by us to say we want the teachers to get that pay raise. We're demanding more of our teachers. Last year we passed a number of measures, third grade reading gate, for example, where we're expecting higher performance of our teachers. If we're going to demand more from the teachers, we need to pay them more. So the whole objective here is for us to put more money into the classroom, and that's what we support. We're going to continue to discuss that this year. All of this, of course, assumes that the money is available to do that. Revenues seem to be up, but we'll just have to see how it goes. If the money's not there to do it, we won't be able to do it. But hopefully the money will be there, and we would like to make sure that the money goes into the classroom. Finally, I see on your list there's transportation. We are taking a hard look at transportation. I want to make sure that our infrastructure is solid Every business that we approach and attempt to attract to Mississippi asks us, what kind of infrastructure you got? Do you have roads? Do you have water? Do you have electricity? Do you have all the things that I need to bring? If I bring my company to your state, are you going to be able to supply what I need to make my business productive and successful? So we're taking a long, hard look at our roads and our bridges. I'm aware of a man in South Mississippi that has 400 acres of timber he's ready to cut. He's trying to get it to market. And both bridges leaving his property, if you come out of his property, either way you go on that road, both bridges, or I should say neither bridge, is able to support the weight that's going to take to get that lumber out. This man can't get his lumber to market because he doesn't have a bridge sufficient enough to support the weight that that's going to require. And I hear that from a lot of our agricultural industries, the cotton industry and others, when they bring these big weights out. So we're taking a long, hard look at our bridges and our roads, trying to make sure that the infrastructure is there to support those development opportunities. I look forward to being with you at lunch today. I think I'm headed back over there in a few minutes. I hope to be able to shake all of your hands. Thank you so much for allowing me a few minutes to talk to you. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Y'all have a good day.